I don't care if you're Mike Tyson. You go on his podcast, he always talks about discipline. You know, all these legends, you know, Vander Holyfield. You go on all their podcasts,
Yeah.
and you hear them talk. The first thing is that if you don't have discipline, you're never going to be great at it.
Wow.
So we try to teach them that right off the bat. Like,
Discipline.
hey, you know, and if we fear that you're veering off from it, we're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to get you back into understanding, you know, that you know, discipline here, you're going to have discipline. This same discipline you have here, you need to have at home. You know what I mean? Whether you're there's a father figure there or there's a mother figure there, you know, you still have to have discipline.
What's your definition of discipline?
You know,
in this case,
just so I guess you can use definition for a lot of, you know what I mean? You know,
yeah,
right? So to me is, you know, not being scared to own up to what you do wrong, listening and understanding what somebody's trying to do for you, you know, to help you create a path, you know, and of course the whole, you know, the right from wrongs, you know what I mean? You know, just understanding, like, you know that's bad. Why did you make that decision? What put you to that point to make that bad decision? Okay, well, you know that there's a consequence to this. You know what I mean? How, you know, and most kids nowadays, you tell them that, like, oh, I'm not worried about it. You need to be worried about it. You say, like, you can't have that attitude and expect to live the next 40 years in life. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And we were all young. We were all hard-headed too. So it's just, you know, when I talk to them about this, I tell them I was undisciplined just like you. You know, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of the how can you say, like, you know, my dad, when he would travel for work for 6-7 months, he wasn't home. Didn't have anybody, but I had to keep that discipline because I knew when he came home,
oh, sure.
and I didn't, you know what I mean?
There's consequences.
There's consequences because my mom was like, hey, well, you know what? Pete wasn't listening. You know, he did this,
wow.
he did that. So then my dad's having a conversation with me. He's like, what part of the discipline did you not understand while I was gone? You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there, you know, and he was, you know, before my dad believed in corporal punishment. You know what I mean?
Right on.
You know, so it was never just, you know, my dad, you know, he never just reacted to be a bad dad. You know what I mean? He was like, well, you know, there's a consequence, you know, and you know how my consequences are. Why did you still do it? So now I have to hold you accountable. I have to hold you accountable to what you did. You know what I mean? Your mom told me what you did. You didn't listen, or you were bad in school, you know, all this stuff like that. So all that discipline, I know when I go back and look at it now, you know what I mean? It's just like, man, it wasn't so hard to be disciplined if you know what I mean? You know, it was just, you know, you get around, even at a young age, you start getting around, you know, kids your own age that maybe don't have respect for their parents. What's going to happen is that you're going to fall into that, into that trap of like, well, my friends don't listen to his parents. I mean, why do, you know, so we always try to just teach them, just like I said, just the basic discipline of, you know, and discipline is a mental thing. It's mental, you know what I mean? So, you know, we try to instill that for them and try to break any bad cycle that they have. You know what I mean? The moms and dads sometimes come to us and they open up to us a lot. Like, you know, he's real aggressive. You know what I mean? You know, he's got a lot of anger, you know, and stuff like that. And like I said last time, you know, I mean, some kids, you know, feel comfortable talking to somebody other than their mom and dad about things. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, we always tell them, it's like, look, you know, we can keep a secret to a certain point. And if you come and tell us something that you haven't told your parents, we're obligated to tell your parents. You know what I'm saying? Because they feel comfortable. They think, well, you know, if I tell coach, you know what I mean, that he won't, you know, no, we still need to, you know what I mean? And, you know, we bring it to their attention, you know what I mean? And we just let them know, like, hey, you know, we're like your uncles here. You know what I mean? You know, we're here to help you guys. We're here to, you know, be there for you. If you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody, you know, outside, you know, because some kids don't feel comfortable talking to their dad or talking to their mom, you know what I mean? But you get them comfortable enough outside of that, you know what I mean? You know, they'll tell you the world. Wow. You know, so, you know, we just try to be there for them in direction. Like I said, just teach that discipline, you know what I mean? Not trying to belittle them and be, you know, if they're getting that type of treatment at home, we try not to, you know, bring that at the gym.
Speaking with me back here, we had some technical issues, but yeah, that's interesting. Have you ever seen a like a kid come in one way and then leave transformed or different?
Like which way? Like in
Like they come in and maybe they're real bad. Maybe they don't have a lot of discipline at the onset, and then when they leave your program, you see them better than the way they
oh
came in. You know what
oh
I'm saying?
yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? That so some of them can. We've had some of them adapt fast. You know what I'm saying? They just needed.
That's what they needed.
That's what they needed.
That structure.
Some of them, you know, were a little, well, like we say in Spanish, like cabezudos. You know what I mean? You know, they were trying to test the waters of, you know, oh, I don't need to listen to you. You ain't no, but I'm like,
Right,
okay,
right.
well, hold on. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and some of them took a little longer, but for the most part, man, it was always a good success story to be able to see that, you know, that the kids decided, you know, that, you know, and some of them that don't come, that they don't box anymore or train, they come back like, man, Coach Pete, you know what I mean? Things have been so much better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a better relationship with, you know what I mean? You know, with my mom, like I'm not so mad no more. I'm not so angry. And,
Wow.
you know, and it just makes everybody that's a part of our program happy to know that, you know what I mean? That kid didn't decide to keep going bad and, you know, end up in juvenile hall or, you know what I mean, or out there committing crimes and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of good little success stories, man.
That's
you know
good.
what I mean? You know, it's real good.
That's good. Do you have any future goals for the program?
Oh yeah, I mean, we want to continue to get bigger. You know what I mean? You know, eventually the goal is to, you know, we've had talks with YMCA about, you know, maybe traveling to other cities and,
Wow.
you know, opening up a program. You know what I mean? So that's
Cool.
that's something that we hope in, you know, 2025 that we can
Nice.
be able to go to maybe San Antonio, Houston, and
Yeah.
open up a chapter there and just, you know what I'm saying, just to see where
cool.
it goes, stuff like that. We've been talking about
That's
it.
great.
So.
That's great.